Today we're going to power a Milwaukee vacuum with an M18 18-volt battery and an M12 12-volt battery. I'm Tim Johnson. You're watching Shop Tool Reviews. Just a couple of weeks ago, we reviewed the brand new M18 FUEL vacuum from Milwaukee, and we're quite impressed with it. Well, today we're looking at one of the accessories for the new vacuums, really for any vacuum. But this is the M12 Utility Nozzle. Yes, it's powered by an M12 battery, and it has a beater bar on it, as well as obviously we're going to have suction through it. Well, the idea here is that you can use a power beater bar with your shop vac or whatever vacuum you have. We're going to be pairing it with the new M18 shop vac that we already reviewed. Let's quit wasting time. We'll dive in. We'll take a closer look at each one of these features, and then we'll actually use it on some different things, and then we'll come back and talk about the results and talk about pricing and warranty. Well, this is not exactly the unit that we're actually reviewing today, but it's worth a mention for sure. This is the Milwaukee Vacuum Tool Storage Bag, and I've got the utility nozzle in here. It's in the bottom, but I just wanted to show you this because this is pretty cool. It's actually built, these little locks right here, are locks, are really not locks, they're hooks. These little elastic hooks pull down and clip right onto the new M18 vacuum. So it makes it really easy to secure this bag right on top of the vacuum, and it stays there. You got the hooks on the back too. And then they have these little pouches right here where they clip into and kind of stay out of the way. Anyway, this is their vacuum tool storage bag. This is 60 bucks. I know $60 is a lot for just a bag or a pouch, but I think where it's going to make a lot of sense is when you can buy it as a kit. They don't have it ready yet. I've got a few bags in here, fleece bags for the vacuum, and I've got some utility nozzles in here. Now, right now, as I mentioned, just for the bag, it's going to run 60 bucks. But what they're going to do is they're going to include these two nozzles here. So the flexible tip nozzle, which we actually used in the review of the M18 vacuum. And then this crevice tool right here is going to be included, as well as another, there we go, it was locked into place, as well as another, what they call their, I believe their palm vacuum tip. So you'll get 3 tips as well as the bag for 100 bucks. And I think that's where it's going to be beneficial for sure. But if you're using the M18 vacuum, this tool bag is really a great addition because you're able to store many things like these right there on top of the vacuum. So now let's get down to what we're here to talk about today. And so I'm going to go into my second compartment. And here we have 2 more nozzles. This is another one worth mentioning as well. It's got a magnetic bar up here and on the back. So if you're vacuuming out screws, nails, stuff like that, it will actually grab those things and you're not sucking them into the bag. Or if they're heavier as well, it will attach there and you can easily sweep those off and throw them away. Here's our M12 utility nozzle that we're here to talk about today. I've wasted all that time for you. Sorry about that. No, I thought those things were worth mentioning. Rather than just grabbing this out of the bag and showing this, let's move the bag out of the way. So here's what we're here to talk about today. It's the Milwaukee M12 air tip utility nozzle. The model number is the 0980, I believe. Yes, 0980-20, which would be the bare tool without the battery. So if I pull the battery off here, there it is. Now, they call it the M12 utility nozzle. I think that's a poor name for actually what it does. But hey, I'm not the namer of these tools. Maybe they couldn't come up with a better one. Anyway, here it is. This is a great idea, especially with the vacuum that they just released as well. Now, right off the bat, you can see there's a battery port right there. So, do we need a battery in there? You don't have to. You can just use it as a suction tool, but then why not just use a typical utility nozzle then? So we get the beater bar addition here with the M12 battery. You get a power button right there, obviously the beater bar, and then you get kind of a shoe, if you will, that also pivots. So you can see we can go from about 90 degrees to, it looks like, better than 45 degrees. So we get quite a bit of swing there off of that pivoting shoe. Now here on the suction side where you hook up your hose, so obviously you're going to want to use this with a vacuum to pull all that debris out that you're going to be circulating. We can use a 1 1/4 inch hose, a 1 7/8 inch hose, or the big 2.5 inch hose as well. So Milwaukee's really thought of those things. You don't have to have 50 different adapters. It's going to fit 3 different sizes, whether you're internal, external here, or internal there, of the different hoses. We have a power button right here. You do not have to have suction. You do not have to have a vacuum hooked up for it to power up. Typical M12 stuff, you see the 4 dots there when we power it up. That gives us the actual charge on the battery. So we see we've got a full charge on that 12 or on that M12 battery. I'm running a 2 amp hour. I believe they say an hour and 15 minutes runtime on a 6 amp hour battery. So I'm just going to say it's good for 20 minutes on a 2 amp hour battery, which should be sufficient when you're using something like this. I see this as kind of a spot cleanup or maybe even auto detailing for something like this. One of the cool things I noticed right off the bat when I started looking into this is I know what it's like to have a beater bar, let's just call it out, a Dyson vacuum in your home, and you have dogs or you have people with long hair, and that hair tends to get wound up in those beater bars. No matter what you do, it gets wound up in there. So to have to get in there and kind of dig that out is a pain. Well, we've got a little switch right there. I can flip that. Now I can take that beater bar out very easily, clean that up, and I'm sure if we had to replace it, we could do that as well. But I just really like to see that. Now I can get in there and clean up anything. There's not a lot of crevices and things that you have to clean up around. And then to put that back in, you just slide it on right there, stick it under the lip right there, slide the lock back over, and now it's locked in. So I love to see that, kind of thinking ahead for cleaning up, especially for people with dogs, long hair, and that sort of thing. And something else that I noticed when we were at Milwaukee testing this for the first time, when we first got to see this stuff, let me go ahead and pull my battery out just so you can see, is this little slide switch right here. And basically that's just a bleed off, if you will, a bleed off window. So if you're on something like slick, like you see here, and you're not getting a lot of airflow, or maybe even probably a better idea would be, say, very plush carpet. Maybe you're in a 60s or 70s home and there's still a lot of high pile carpet in there, and it's creating a complete suction that's closing off everything. You can bleed off some of that so that you can continue to get that Venturi effect to pull in debris. So that's what that's for right there, is kind of a bleed off window, and it clicks and locks in the closed position. So you don't have to worry about it kind of wandering up and creating a vacuum leak, if you will. And in addition to the circulating bar with the M12 battery is also we get a headlight with it. Works really well. So you can see we get a complete LED light bar across there with 4 different LEDs, so we can easily see where we're going and where we're vacuuming. Now let's get some measurements on this. Probably not really that important, but to give you an idea of the sizes we're talking about. Now the internal beater bar, they say is 6 inches, and it is right at 6 inches, and that's the actual brushes that are actually doing the cleaning. The opening here is probably more like 6.5 inches, and the overall width of the unit is right at 8 3/8, 8.5 inches wide. And then as far as front to back, about 3 inches, and overall length of it, a little over 12 inches long. I don't know if we close that up, probably right at 12, so right at 1 foot long from the top to the bottom. Now as far as weight of this, not that it's going to be really important, but if you're worried about lugging this thing around or holding your hand or whatever it may be, just give you a weight. 2 pounds 10.5 ounces, so 2 3/4 pounds. That's with the 2 amp hour battery. Without the battery, 2 pounds 4 ounces. So it's not very heavy. It's got a little weight to it, but it's not really a heavy tool whatsoever. And then looking at, as we were mentioning with the nozzles, so you'll have the actual measurements. Internal, you're looking at 1.3 inches. External of the inner tube, 1.56, 1.57 inches. And then internal of the big tube, which would be your 2.5-inch adapter. You're looking at right at a little more than 2.25 inches for the actual internal dimensions of that, and external is, looks like 2.42. But again, if you have a hose that's 1 1/4, 1 7/8, or 2.5, all three of those are going to work and should work just without any adapters. Let's go ahead and use this a bit, and we'll actually bring the work to us. Fresh out of the vehicle, something pretty typical would be the rear area of a utility vehicle or a sport utility. This is actually out of one of ours. So we have everything from just regular old leaves and dirt to looks like some different plastic tags and some residual paint from someone that borrowed our painter and didn't seem to tell us that there were paint on the feet. So that's nice to have. Anyway, not going to call people out right now. Let's go ahead and use this and see how it works. So as I mentioned, I've got the M18 vacuum. That's what I'm going to use. And you see it slides right on the air tip. So we're going to use it just without any beater bar whatsoever. And you see it's actually closing off, and that's where I could use this bleeder. I didn't expect to get that good a performance out of that without turning on the beater bar, and so that's just the vacuum sucking up through there and actually cleaning a lot of that. But let's go ahead and turn the beater bar on, and then we'll bring in some more problems. Okay, so that cleaned that really, really well. You can see usually when a vacuum's just kind of cleaning the surface, you can usually beat that and get a lot more dirt to come up from the surface. I'm sure if I hung it upside down, I could definitely do that. But still, the fact that it's not blowing up clouds right now is pretty impressive that we pulled a lot of that out. Now we've got a couple of stages here we're going to go to. So right now, just good old dirt, fresh from outside the shop. Some clumps, some sandy. We don't want to make it easy, right? Okay. So now let's see what we get. So one pass or two passes, whatever you want to call that, forward and back, and there's where we are. Let me make a single pass, or let's say two passes, a forward and back on each one of these, and then we'll take a closer look. Okay, actually I just did a single pass, just from front to back, and there's where we are. So it picked up the majority of it. There's definitely still some left. Let's make a few passes and see if we can't clean that up really well. I'll turn our camera just a bit. There we go. Looks great, it really does. Looks like it picked up everything. Wow, it's pretty impressive, really is. Still not bringing up anything out of the pile of carpet. So let's take this a step further. I really have no idea how well it's going to handle this tempered glass or some of this other residual that's in here. Looks like a piece of rubber in there. So I don't know how the beater bar is going to treat that. In fact, there's a penny. But let's just see. So you're going to see as quick as I do, even some metal shavings in there also. So let's go. Okay, single pass. I much better than I expected. I was expecting it to either kind of fling this stuff around or it not to pick it up that well. But on a single pass, I'm pretty impressed with that, because I think within a few passes we'll have this cleaned up really quick. It's not leaving. It looked like one piece just fell out, but there's no pockets or anything for anything to get stuck in. That's pretty impressive. And just the fact that it's actually has the pulling power to pull all of that through, which really doesn't matter a lot really doesn't mean a lot to the air tip. That's not doing the suction. It's the M18 that's doing the suction, but still a great job on the beater bar doing its job and not flinging it out. So let's finish the cleanup. There's the penny. No problem. I'm not sure what to say. I don't want to just kind of gloat on this, but I think you're seeing the actual results here. It is literally picking up everything, and it's not having an issue whatsoever. So impressive with that. Impressive with two things. Number one, the actual utility nozzle, the M12 utility nozzle. Also impressive off of a single M18 FUEL vacuum, so one battery, and it pulling this much suction and utilizing the utility M12 utility nozzle beater bar to pull up the glass, the dirt, the pennies, the you name it, and be able to clean this as well as it has. These spots here are from chlorine, again, and the paint residual as well. So I'm not expecting anything of that, but just the way it's cleaning this up is very nice. Very impressed. I think for the most part, we're going to let the results in the video speak for themselves. Very impressed with this M12 utility nozzle. Does a great job, doesn't seem to bog on carpet or on a hard surface. When it's actually spinning up, doesn't seem to slow down much, and it definitely picks up the debris as well as the dust, the dirt, the glass particles, the pennies, the dimes, you name it. It really picked up everything we threw at it. So did we throw everything in the kitchen sink at it? No, but we threw some stuff at it that we thought it might have a hard time with, and it did a great job with it. Price on this is $79 for the bare tool. So that's not the battery. $79 for a vacuum accessory. I know that's not, $10, $15 like you'd typically, maybe buy a crevice tool for, but this is something that's now self-powered and is definitely going to step up your game with your typical shop vac or with your detailing vac or whatever you're using. So if it's something you need, then it's definitely worth the money at $79. If you're already invested in the M12 platform, well, you've already got the battery, so it's really not going to be that bad. We really love the vacuum attachment bag. I know that's kind of cheesy sounding, or maybe sounds like we're just being shills, but that's not the case. We just like this bag. We like the fact that it's made to go on the vacuum and actually clip in, and it holds several different attachments, because let's face it, every job you're not going to use this nozzle. Every job you're not going to use a crevice nozzle, and so forth. But over the, but over time, for certain jobs, you're always going to use the most of certain tools. So the fact that you got a bag that will hold most of those things is very convenient. So the bag's $60, I think, which again is a high price, but when they release the bag with the accessories, that'll be a good deal. So check this out. Model number, I believe, is a 0980, 0980-20 as the bare tool. And again, that's $79. Hey, we'll have a link in the description where you can buy this if you want to. Also, keep track of us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. If you don't mind, would you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done so already? And by all means, if you hated our video, then give us a thumbs down. But would you let us know in the comments why? Have a great day and keep smiling.